Listen, I am tired of you being the czar of this whole fucking thing. This isn't Russia in the 1700s, all right?
Yeah, I'll let you run the show. Go ahead. Wait, are we gonna do this whole thing where is Christian pretending he doesn't like this band? Is that his bit? Because that's never been the case.
We can get into this in a few seconds, but man, I'm not gonna lie, this was tough. This is a tough one.
You're such a fucking hater, dude.
I mean, like, as a guy who likes this type of music, this was like, you know how, let's say Group Love puts out like a 12-track album, and like 2 of the songs are like supposed to be their hits, and they're not very good or enjoyable in any way. It was like this whole album was those 2 songs.
First off, this Insta status thing is fucking stupid.
Oh, hard disagree.
And I don't like that you're using it on a regular basis.
Well, let me tell you, the Instagram status might be the best thing to happen to social media since, like, the fall of MySpace. I mean, not that the fall was good, like, since MySpace in general.
You changed it twice today.
Nope, just changed it once.
Do you think that they could make a sitcom about our lives, like us 3? Like us living in a house together?
It's funny you ask that, because earlier I was thinking that maybe me and you should actually write like a sitcom, and then like Christian kind of edit it.
Yeah, what would it be about? Like 3 totally cool dudes living together. If we do, I want our trailer to be like those '90s trailers where it's like, in a world where nothing seems to go right. With these 3, what could go wrong? And then it's like one of the they're all kind of gay. You know, that's what I want our intro to be.
I like that. That's a good trailer. Christian, thoughts?
No, yeah, I mean, sure, yeah. It's not like it has been done 100 fucking times, but yeah, great idea, Blake, you dumb motherfucker.
Ours would be so much better than all of those, though.
You literally just pitched Workaholics.
In a world where 3 guys aren't comfortable with their sexuality, in a world where they finally should be, that would be great.
In a world where they have every capability to just totally be open about their sexuality, but still for some reason choose not to be.
We get to the bottom of how these 3 brothers. Okay, we're running that bit into the ground already. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're your hosts, Blake, Christian, and Trey, and we're back, all 3 of us, ladies and gentlemen. So you fucking know it's gonna be a good one. Finally, Trey delayed us multiple days, multiple hours, but he's here. Christian almost bailed, but we are back together, and today we're discussing.
Wait, before we get into this album that we're discussing, we got to talk about y'all's conduct while I was gone. The slander against my name throughout the entirety of that episode was fucking ridiculous.
It was not that bad.
It was constant. It was just like, let's talk about something for a few seconds and then let's shit on Trey because he's not here. Is that what you talk about when I'm around?
Christian, pretty you much. Believe this fucking guy? It was not
I loved it.
Fucking bad.
I loved every second of it. And to be honest, let's be fair here. You gave us firepower leading into you not making it. Because it was the whole ha Pine Grove super fucking gay bit that we were just running on you all week. And then when it comes to the ride or dies, and you did it. You know,
yeah,
so you kind of dug your own grave there. You sent us a Pine Grove song for that, and at that point, I had decided, let's let it fly.
It was a test. It was a test to see, like, oh, are they going to use this to shit on me? And you failed. Both of you failed miserably.
You fucking failed. And also, okay, we shit on you at the beginning because the whole internet fiasco was funny. Okay, you can't argue that.
That was objectively funny.
And then we shit on Pine Grove because it's fucking Pine Grove. And also, we know that you tried to sabotage us. You tried to sabotage us with shitty tweets. So you had that fucking coming.
I gave y'all mediocre tweets. Not shitty, mediocre. Yeah, Michael Crabtree's a mediocre wide receiver.
Mediocre.
And I gave y'all mediocre tweets with, like, some opportunity for success. Like, the one about Rave, whatever. Like, that was one that I thought...
funny.
it wasn't funny. It was intentionally unfunny. What it was supposed to be was like an opening up for us to talk about how absolutely ridiculous all of that stuff is. And y'all did not take that bait, which I was disappointed in.
We kind of did briefly, but yeah, we were not feeling that one.
Yeah, it was a bad. I mean, it was an intentionally bad tweet, which I have one of those lined up for today. So we'll compare and contrast how those go.
That's
okay,
good.
great.
Anyway, back to your regular scheduled programming.
Back to our regular scheduled program. We were talking about the 8th studio album from Portugal, the man Woodstock. Apple Music intro. On a trip home to Alaska in 2016, frontman John Gurley stumbled upon his dad's $8 Woodstock Festival ticket stub. The discovery sparked an infatuation with 60s pop culture and its politically charged music. The band's 8th album, a thrilling, gritty package of experimental pop rock, is their take on music with a message. Loaded with deluxe production, thanks in part by Danger Mouse and Mike D. Danceable energy and poignant lyrics, is both a lively soundtrack to the resistance and a reminder to have fun. So let me start this off by saying this is not the best Portugal the Man album. It's actually not even close to the best Portugal the Man album. I would say probably the Satanic Satanist is. Evil Friends is up there too. But I thought it would provide a good discussion. But it seems like you two have already determined that you're going to be huge bitches about this. So let's hear. What was your initial take upon listening to this, Trey? Why do you dislike it so adamantly?
Okay, so I'm going to go first here.
Yeah.
All right. So first off, the fact that they call this album gritty is easily one of the funniest things I've ever heard. There's nothing gritty about this album. This is an album that's full of anthemic, semi-pop rock tunes. The lyrics are nothing impactful, but also like that's not necessarily fair because I'm just not really connected to the sound in general, so I don't care enough to dig into the proper meaning behind the lyrics. I enjoyed 2 or 3 of the songs. I will say that after a second, I listened to it twice. I gave it a second run through. But man, I just like. I'm confused as to why you like it is more so my question, because I do respect your taste and I respect you as a person more so than that. And there's just nothing groundbreaking about this. There's nothing. It's not like it's a classic. Like you said, it's not even the best Portugal the Man album. And it's not like Portugal the Man is knocking on the door of the rock pantheon. So well, I didn't get it. I don't get the selection.
Well, have you listened to other Portugal the Man albums? I know that Christian has.
I haven't, and I never have, and it's not that I've ever like had a disdain for the band, but I do now.
Okay, well, let me say, I think if you listen to the Satanic Satanists and Evil Friends, you would actually like them because I think it's objectively those albums are like really good music, and they're.
Well, then why did you send one of those albums?
Because I wanted to do something, one, that was more recent, and 2, like, I guess you wouldn't know this because you don't listen to them, but, like, this was a departure from, like, how they actually are as a band. So it was not, like, sticking to what had made them popular. And the reason I wanted to talk about it was because it kind of segues us into talking about, like, how Portugal the Man, I think all of their other albums are phenomenal, but they had this small fan base, like a small devoted fan base, and then they had this album and they fucking blew up. So it was kind of like just to listen to it and kind of talk about how like really good bands will put out good music and then for some reason they don't succeed until they kind of fall into this type of genre, right? We've talked about that ad nauseum with Cage the Elephant and how they sold out and started wearing suits, and all of a sudden they were like the fucking rage. Whereas when they played grunge music, they weren't. The same kind of transition happened to Portugal the Man. Like, it is very much like a pop rock album, but it's weird to me you don't like songs like Live in the Moment. Like, even though it's like a poppy, like jumpy song, the song is about like atheism, and it's about like how Christianity like allows people to be shitty people, and then they can just forgive themselves because, oh, I go to church on Sunday. Like, that's kind of the whole, like, it is poppy in its sound, but the lyricism of Portugal the Man to me is still there in this album. And I thought that you would hear that and see that, like, may not like the music, but still kind of hear what they're having to say, because I do think it is like still politically charged. But I guess, I mean, if you don't like it, you don't like it. Such is life. But that was my reasoning. That kind of explains the reasoning as to why I picked it, if that makes sense.
I feel a little more comfortable as to why we're talking about it in general. Christian, what did you think? And what do you think now that Blake has kind of made his explanation? Which I do feel better about, I'll be honest.
That definitely helps, but it doesn't really change like my opinion on this album. Like Portugal the Man, I remember getting into kind of around high school when I was working like the festival circuit type thing, and they were playing Hangout. I think Blake was the one who introduced me to them actually. And it's summertime music. It really is. Like even their earlier stuff are kind of those like happy-go-lucky whatevers. But I was working Hangout and got to see them live, and it was super cool. Going back and listening to this album, it's just everything that I hate about this type of music. It's what Trey was kind of alluding to. No matter like what they're talking about, it all feels anthemy. So, and it's not like, and to me, the lyrics weren't going extremely in depth. It's like they're talking about oppression and all these different things, but they're like, and oppression is bad, yeah. And it's just like this, like gimmicky.
Oppression is like, bad.
They're right about that. It is, in fact, objectively, that is bad. They are right.
Yeah. I liked them early on because they felt like pieces of a lot of different artists that I like within just like alternative and rock and a little bit of psychedelic rock, like the MGMT type of happy-go-lucky. But bands that kind of like this album. And around this time, this like early 2000s to like mid 2000s, something happened with like rock music where it took this turn of like pop punk dance that was strictly made for commercial use.
Yeah.
And it's like what this feels like to me. It's like everything that you can put over a USAA commercial or a fucking, armed services commercial. It's just like, it's just that type of feel that just, it feels fucking commercial. It feels like something that wasn't built for music. It was just built for this like mass consumption.
Now, I will say with the context that Blake has given us, and like I have a new like life rule that like don't claim evil when you can claim ignorance instead. And like I can see how maybe with their ideals and like if they're trying to get out a certain message about anarchy and they're Satanists, right? That's like their thing.
Yeah.
Or he is, and like some of those, oppression is bad, and if they're trying to kind of push that,
much
like,
we know.
Depends who you're asking,
Yeah, it's true. But if that's like their ideal, and they're trying to like kind of push that idea and like push it into more of like a present it to the masses type sound, then this probably accomplishes that.
You were so soft. You were so soft. Can you just stick to just be a hard motherfucker from one? No, you're not. You're doing this corporate thing that's like this in between run of the mill fucking bullshit. Where you're like, well, actually, I can see your perspective.
I'm not.
He's talking about the information presented to him, Christian. Maybe you should fucking try it every once in a while.
Trey, first off, I don't like the fact that Blake's only defending me because I'm kind of siding with him. What I'm saying is I've seen bands do this more successfully, and this is not that. Like, for example, like the Beatles with Revolver. But that's a whole different conversation that neither one of you want to have because Blake hates the Beatles for some weird fucking reason. I can understand a little bit more, but either way, I did not enjoy this. And Blake, why don't you tell us a little bit about what your story is with the record?
Yeah, I think it is interesting because one of the reasons I think you guys would like other Portugal the Man albums is because diehard Portugal the Man fans hate this album. So it's like that's what makes me think that you guys would like other albums that they have put out, especially because they did work in like from 2006, like their run from 2006 to like 2010. They have a lot of good albums in there. I've been a massive fan of Portugal the Man forever, and I do love like their music has always been super politically charged, and I've agreed with them on a political standpoint. But I saw them one time at Bonnaroo, and they were playing a tent at the time. This album hadn't come out. They played a late night set at a tent, and it was such a good show. Like they cover Metallica, they cover Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd. They play their music. They do this great mashup transition stuff, and like I remember being so blown away with the show, and I was pretty drunk afterwards, and like I was just really upset about the fact that this great band was in front of me playing music that like I really resonated with, and it felt like they had no fan base whatsoever. And it really like bothered me. I kind of went through the same thing with Cage the Elephant. It's like I deeply connected with this music and the things they were saying, and I didn't feel like anybody else was getting it. Like it didn't make sense to me. They weren't bigger. So after the album, when Feel It Still came out and this album kind of blew them up and they started playing main stages and shit like that, I was really happy for them. And I'm glad that they can play those shows and those stages and still play their old music. But it is like there's just a degree of like having to sell out to get to that stage, which is like upsetting to me, right? I wish that these bands never had to do that. But with that being said, I don't dislike this album the way that you guys do. Like I still feel like psychedelic elements in a lot of it. I love the Fat Lip verse and Mr. Lonely. Like there's aspects of it that really shine, but yeah, it's definitely one of their weaker albums. But as a whole, I still enjoy it. It doesn't taint like my view of the band as a whole, which I think for a lot of people, they can't really like our friend Zach. He was always a massive Eminem fan, but he feels like his new music is so bad. It's turned him like against Eminem. And I just don't have that reaction to artists putting out music I don't really love. So that's kind of where I'm at. And like I said earlier, I don't think it's a great album. And I hope you guys go listen to a different one to see if you actually like it. But that's kind of why I picked it and where I'm at with it. So I do enjoy, I don't hate it the way that you guys do, but I don't love it the way that I love their other music. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. Make sense?
Yeah.
That makes sense. This isn't the album I would show to someone to try and get them into their music, though. If I was you.
Yeah, well, that wasn't really my goal. Like, one, I thought Christian had already like listened to them. I thought that him and I had talked about it. Maybe I'm wrong in that, but yeah, I didn't want like that wasn't going to be my introduction. I thought you had listened to Evil Friends or something and had talked to me about like, oh, I didn't give them a fair chance or something like that. But it was more just about kind of the discussion of how this happens to artists. Like they kind of sell out, and it changes how they're viewed in a mainstream aspect. But we can talk more about that later. I guess let's go into songs that you guys liked. If you have a few, then let's go through them. Trey, you can lead us off with the ones that you liked.
Okay, I did actually like two songs. At first, I thought it was all not super great. But there are two songs I like. I liked Keep On and I liked So Young. I think the beat for Keep On is kind of nice. It's kind of like something I would, listen to, kind of just like cruising down the road, especially like a summertime type of vibe.
Yeah.
It's very like, it's easy listening. The lyrics are nice. Kind of like some like dystopian, everything's terrible, but I still have to get through the day type vibe.
Seems on par with what you vibe with.
Yeah. See, that was the thing is like, I thought that I thought that I would kind of get into and enjoy the general vibe of what I understood Portugal the Man to be. So that was kind of the big letdown for the whole record. And then, So Young is nice too. So Young kind of, they're like back to back. So that might be part of it.
Yeah.
So Young kind of feels almost like a breakup song, which, I'm a sucker for. So I did enjoy it, as you guys saw with Pine Grove. So I did enjoy those two tracks. Other than that, I would put everything in the bottom three, except there's like 10 of them.
That's fair. Christian, what about you?
So like I did listen to a bunch of their albums back in the day, from like Evil Friends and the Satanic Satanist, and there's a bunch of good shit that's just like was not it for me. So I don't have a single top song. I have 10 songs in the bottom songs.
You couldn't find one song?
They all just reminded me of this, like, it did send me back into listening to like their older shit, which I had a blast doing after forcing myself to listen to this album. But it was just all like such, every song was like anthem, anthem, anthem. And it's just I cannot stand tracks like that.
That's fair.
Sorry, guys.
That's okay. I really like, what Rich Friends. I think the concept of the song is fucking hilarious. I also really love So Young. I've always loved So Young. And then Mr. Lonely with Fat Lip. I think the Fat Lip verse it's really brief, but I love the bottles up, popping shit, false sense of happiness. Perhaps I'll take what I get. I guess it's better than nothing, right? At least I got this blunt to light. I'm doing what I want tonight. Tomorrow I might fuck my life. I fucking love that lyric. Like, it's so perfect. It's like, look, hey, you know what? Things are shitty, but I'm going to get fucked up, and tomorrow I'll just deal with it when I deal with it, you know? And I think that's something that we can all three of us specifically, but everybody can kind of relate to. It's like, you know what? I'm going to worry about that tomorrow, and I'll just fucking rage today. So
I like it a lot better when you say it, to be honest.
So I do really like that song. Those are my top 3 songs. I can roll into the ones I don't like, since you guys, it's the rest of the album.
Before you do that, I have a question. So, as a lifelong, essentially, Portugal the Man fan, like, do you enjoy this album in general, or do you kind of side with your compadres? Sorry, I forgot what the right word there would be.
So
in
I'm
the
not
Portugal
on the
community.
I'm not on the same level as you guys. Like I said, there are songs that I really like on it, and even like sometimes there's like times where I want to listen to songs like "Live in the Moment" and "Feel It Still," even though they're like poppy, like mainstream songs. I still do kind of like to listen to them. But yeah, it's probably going back apart from. Man, I mean, I would say it's their weakest album. So I'm kind of on board with like the Portugal the Man fans in the sense that it is their weakest album. But I also I appreciate artists trying something new. I hate that it sucks when artists try something new and they're just like universally shit on by a really devoted fan base. Like, it sucks because I don't know what that's like from an artist standpoint. I'm sure it's fucking horrible. But I'm glad that they tried something that they wanted to do and they were passionate about. So in that sense, you know, I like it, and I like that they branched out. But In the Mountain in the Clouds and Evil Friends and Satanic Satanists are just like, those are really, really good albums. And they touch on the same themes. They just do it so much fucking better. And I don't know. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to just like to what you were saying. The funny thing is like with fan bases, especially really dedicated ones and little, like niche ones, because I feel like that's the case for Portugal. It's just that like it's a little frustrating to see at times where when an artist does go in a new direction, it's just complete hate, blah, blah, blah. Like they fucking sold out. It's this, it's that. And then if they don't change anything and they put out a mediocre, similar sounding album, you get the other side. Yeah. It's like they did nothing new on this album. This is shit. Sounds like the same old. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, I mean, it's like jaded. They're just jaded, like pretentious fans. It bothers the shit out of me when fan bases think that artists owe them like a particular thing, right? Because people like that are never going to be happy. It doesn't matter what the fuck comes out. They're not going to like it. And it's like, they'll find something to bitch about. And I think generally, in terms of music, video games, movies, TV shows, like the internet amplifies that way more. Like it amplifies the negativity way more than it does the positivity. But yeah, those people are just impossible to please. So it's like, I would rather them not try to please them at all and just do their own fucking thing. And if it turns out shitty, it turns out shitty, you know, and they'll not, hopefully bounce back from it. But you know, you can't fucking pander to everybody.
Well, and sometimes you have the rare situation, like when, you know, I relate everything back to Pretty Lights, but like when Color Map of the Sun came out, people were not super about it. Like some people were, but not.
Still am not.
Yeah, because you're a fucking idiot. But that's okay.
Like, wow, he had a band play, and then he just did the same thing and sampled over it. Like, fucking blow me away.
Dude, that album has gotten better and better with every day since it's been released. And I think that happens a lot of times with people that are like, where they're with a band that, you know, they follow intently, and then they put out a new sound, and they don't like it at first, and then as it goes on, like the artist was almost like ahead of the fan base too much.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So I don't think that necessarily happened in this situation. It doesn't sound like.
No, but it does. It absolutely does happen.
Does happen.
Right. Like they give it 5 years and they go back and they're like, oh shit, this was a lot better than I thought it was.
That's what happened with Radiohead and Kid A. Like when Kid A came out, people were like, this is dog shit. And we'll get to a Radiohead episode one day. But people did not like it. Now you look back at Kid A and it's just like absolutely groundbreaking and like one of the best albums of all time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's that's the thing. I don't know if it's like we've
it's
talked
definitely
about this.
groundbreaking.
It's we've talked about this before, but like those fan bases, it's always like a particular age group, right? And they're aging as that artist is, and those artists are changing too. So it's like they may not be there at that moment, but 5 years down the road, they may be in a position where like their view on that changes. I think we got lucky with like somebody like Mac Miller. We kind of evolved musically with him, so like he timed everything. At least in terms of us three, like he timed everything so perfectly. It was like every time he changed his sound and came out with something. He's like the prime example of it works really well for him, but it doesn't always happen that way. But I do. What do you guys think it is about, whether it be Portugal the Man or Cage the Elephant, or I don't know, I'm sure I could think of more rock bands, but what is it about like this? Why do they not find success until they do this? Like, what do you think the factor is? That, do you think it's having a radio song, or do you think it's just having a more generic sound that appeals to more people? Like, I can't figure it out.
I also think it depends on how you define that success, because like you're playing a tent at Bonnaroo. I mean, during those times where, it might not have been some large mass of people. I think it just depends on what you determine that as, because like getting a message out to a group of people who, understands and appreciates your sound for what it is, without it being something that is in a popular way consumed by the masses, is very different from just like mass fame and mass people and selling out giant venues and playing main stages. And in my perspective, it's what do you sacrifice in sound to do that, regardless of if you're wanting to or not. Right. I think that's kind of where I am with it. It's just like, why is that the case? Because it isn't pushed that way. When you create an album that does become anthemy, the media that comes behind that, not only social media, but with commercials and whatever, it's just like, it's insane the amount of eyes that gets on. So
yeah.
I think a big issue. Yeah, I think a big issue is that like within the rock music genre, there's just so much noise, and there's so much that has already been done, and I think standing out is very difficult. So when you do get a niche genre, it's pronounced niche, not niche, by the way.
I was wondering when you're going to say that. I knew you were going to fucking say that.
Yeah, well, when you do get to a niche genre, or you get a niche fan base, excuse me, and like, I mean, I think that in itself is a measure of success. Having like a small group of passionate fans that you are able to reach on like a, and not to bring it back to this band, but like Pine Grove, for example, like I know y'all don't care for it, but I do a lot. And like, they do have a very fervent, small fan base. And think about it. There are people that they don't know that are resonating with the things that they're writing and creating.
What would have been better is if you would have compared it to our loyal, totally biased music fan base.
True.
You're right. It is exactly like our listeners at home.
When we blow up and we like if we
pretend
stop
like we don't know anyone except for our close friends and family.
Yeah, and then like we stop doing, like you sell out and we stop doing Trey's terrible Twitter takes, and then everyone's gonna be like, man, I liked it so much better when they were doing Trey's terrible Twitter takes. Like it was different back then, dude. It was.
Do you think that the catalyst for that is gonna be someone like that I'd like talk about on Twitter sues us? Because that's not a possibility, by the way. If I ever use one of your tweets on Trey's terrible Twitter takes, you can't sue me. It's public information on Twitter. So fuck you. That's a legally binding sentence.
Just let everybody fucking know.
Just so you know.
I thought about that. I was like, Trey's gonna land himself in hot water. He's gonna use like if we blow up, right, and then he uses somebody like some small person's Twitter, and then they just flame them relentlessly. They're gonna be like, "What the fuck is going on?"
It's part of their user agreement when they sign up to Twitter that I'm allowed to fuck them over.
All right, Elon, thanks.
My king.
I do want to say,
what if I became a huge Elon guy? Would y'all still be friends with me?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I figured.
I do want to say real quick, when Christian was talking, it made me think like I think the difference between what Portugal the Man did with this album and what people like Cage the Elephant did with whatever the fuck their last two albums were. I don't even know the names of them because I hated them so much. I think the difference to me is like I still feel like to Portugal the Man, this album means something to them, right? Like to them, it's something they very much wanted to do, and they still talk about things, albeit in a different way, but I think they're still passionate about it. Whereas bands like Cage, I don't think they even like that fucking music. I genuinely don't. Like, I think that they made that music to literally sell out and sell records. Whereas, like, that's the defining split for me is, like, I still think Portugal Man wanted to do this and are passionate about it. Whereas I do not believe certain artists that sell out like this give a shit. I think they do it to sell out. So I think that's like the big separating point.
I think it's a little more nuanced than that. Like I think like we're talking about Cage Elephant, so like I think Melophobia, for example, like I think Cage's heart was in that album. I don't think that was a full sellout, but it was just enough to get them a taste of what they needed to do to be able to reach that next level of fame. That for the next record and the record after that, they went into the studio with those concepts in mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think there's a little more levels to it than just being like, oh, we're like big enough to like have an audience where we could like get really famous. Let's try this. Because I mean, Cage Elephant was pretty big after the self-titled record. And Thank You, Happy Birthday.
I don't know about that.
I mean, Back Against the Wall was like a hit. What's the other big hit off that record?
Ain't No Rest for the Wicked.
Ain't No Rest for the Wicked was a big hit, not just in indie like radio circles. Like I mean, that was a big hit. So it wasn't like they were absent to fame, but I think they thought they could become like the Black Keys type shit, which fuck the Black Keys for multiple reasons.
Yeah, fuck them for multiple reasons. But I will say, if you listen to Evil Friends, there's a song on there called Hip Hop Kids, and it's about the Black Keys, but it's basically the chorus is. Fuck these rock and rollers. You think we give a shit, but we don't. And he said in an interview that he basically toured with the Black Keys and that they were like eating caviar and shit backstage. And he was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I
mean, caviar's gas. I'm not gonna, as a guy who just came from a very corporate dinner, I'm not going to deny the benefits of caviar.
But yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's just that energy with it.
We want to move on to ratings.
Yeah, let's move on to ratings. So Pitchfuck gave it a 6.6, which I'm sure you guys think is too high. But I will say, so the first paragraph is, quote, "Can you sell out the man?" Or can you say "sell out the man?" griped one fan in a YouTube review of Portugal the Man's latest album, one of a handful compiled for posterity by the band themselves in a supercut of their own bad reviews. It's a criticism the band had clearly braced for. Months before Woodstock's release, they pre-butted that attack with shirts reading in all caps, "I liked Portugal the Man," before they sold out. And the article essentially talks about how, like, it's clearly an attempt to, like, embrace, like, a psych pop modern rock thing, and it just, like, feels clumsy, which I thought you guys would appreciate, the whole sellout bit.
I did like that.
And I do think like they knew they were selling out and kind of made a joke about it, that this was what was coming for them. And then Rolling Stone didn't give it a ranking, but the title of the article is "Inside Portugal the Man's Long Ascent to the Mainstream." So it's kind of like a common theme with all these reviews. It's like this transition they made from being what they were into basically being a mainstream band. What are you doing with your headphones?
I thought I heard some Christmas carolers outside, and I was going to go throw gasoline on them.
So let's start with Christian's is going to be the worst. So let's go ahead and start with Christian.
Is
that Topo Chico?
I'll give it like a 3.
He's spitting dip spit.
Yeah, but I think he's spitting it into a Topo Chico.
That's high class, baby.
Yeah, it is.
I'll give it like a 3.
Okay. That's actually higher than I thought you'd give it. Trey, what about you?
I'll give it a 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not the fucking worst thing I ever heard. I mean, it's like, in terms of being produced, and his voice, John's voice is lovely. It's just like, it's Anthony.
So is there a female in the band that's a vocalist, or was that like brought in for studio?
So they have Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Is that how you say her last name? You know, she's in 10 Cloverfield Lane and some other movies.
I love that movie. I know you don't like it as much as I do, but
yeah, she's on Noise Pollution, but no, it's just John basically throughout the whole thing. Besides the first track and the last track, they have and the fat lip feature. But yeah, it's mostly him. He just has a really high pitched voice.
Gotcha.
I'll give it a 5.5. There are definitely aspects of it that I really like, and the pieces are there. They just wasn't in the fashion that they really strive or they really thrive in. That's the word. So yeah, 5.5. I think that's a fair basis.
Speaking of the two guys that the two bands we're talking a little shit on for Cage and for Portugal a little bit, I got to meet both of them.
Oh yeah, how did you meet them?
Yeah, tell us that story.
Matt Schultz. For those who don't know, I used to work like bullshit jobs at festivals, helping with production and stuff like that for MTV and VH1 because I like to sell out to large corporate organizations. But it was like a sick gig, and so they put me up in a hotel for Lollapalooza, and Cage was playing, and it was this fucking gangster ass hotel in downtown Chicago. I go to check in, and who's fucking standing there checking in as well? Matt fucking Schultz. It's crazy. Like always a big no to kind of like say what's up to those people, especially with us working. But I hadn't checked in officially, so I was like, and it was fucking Matt Schultz. I was like, this is sick. So I said what's up to him. The Portugal the Man, when meeting John, was way funnier. So like at these things, they do these wrapped parties. So for all the personnel pretty much that's working production, they have these huge after parties when everybody's left the festival and we've closed it down. And they have different artists like play it. Like Skrillex DJ'd at one of them. Portugal the Man like played a little set at this one that was for when they played at Hangout. And after we had finished and wrapped everything, we'd meet up in these artist trailers and just chug tequila as they chanted your name. So then you just passed the bottle. And I was blackout drunk. I walked up to John and I asked him for an autograph, and I didn't have anything except a water bottle, a plastic Dasani water bottle. And so he signed it, and then I continued to get more blackout drunk and threw the bottle away. And that was my so shout out John. I appreciate it.
You're an idiot.
So good. That's fucking hilarious. I actually man, I'd love to meet John. He seems like a really cool dude. But I met Matt as well at Lollapalooza in a hotel. It wasn't like in the lobby. There was like a Starbucks attached to like the hotel. And my dad and I were standing in line, and he was right in front of us. And I look at him, I'm like, what the fuck? That guy looks so familiar. And then he kind of turns around, and I look at my dad, and I'm like, but we're like literally right next to him, so I can't be like, yo, that's fucking Matt Schultz. So I'm kind of like moving my head towards him. My dad's like, what the fuck are you doing? And so I'm like, I kind of lean over. I'm like, that's the lead singer, KG Elephant. And so I just like tap his shoulder, and he turns around, and I'm like, hey, man, is your name Matt? He's like, yeah. This is a little high-pitched, whiny voice. And I'm like, are you Matt Schultz at Cage the Elephant? He was like, yeah, that's me. And I was like, hey, man, I just want to say, like, I'm a huge fan. It's really cool to meet you. He was like, oh, thanks so much. And I didn't ask for a picture or anything. I just wanted to be like, hey, by the way, big fan. And then he just got his Starbucks and left. But he was a super nice guy. But then again, that was before he started wearing suits and sold out, so he's probably a dickhead now.
What do you think he ordered at Starbucks?
I don't know. I should have listened. That would have been so much better. I should have like literally hovered over him as he ordered.
Well, there was that
black
time
coffee with a side of heroin in the bathroom.
At Hangout, he like made eye contact with us. You remember that? And we got all excited. And then he like jumped. He like did like a crowd surf thing where he like crawled over like the thing and like took our hat and like put it on his head. Like I felt very connected to him in that moment for whatever reason. And, you know, I feel like I met Matt Schultz, too. I just want to get in on y'all's stories.
In typical Trey fashion, Matt, vaguely points to me and Trey tells everybody for the rest of the festival, yeah, he pointed directly at me. And I was like, well, he kind of pointed our direct. Trey's like, no, it was me. He pointed at me.
He did point at me.
In the crowd of thousands of people,
I don't know what generally Trey fashion is supposed to mean, but I'm just going to ignore that and move on. Anyway, rides or dies. Fuck you.
Yeah, so that was Woodstock. If you're a Portugal the Man fan, I'm sorry that my good friends shit on this album, but
you gave it a 5.5. Don't act like you gave it some glowing review.
Trey, are you fucking busy or something, man? Like, do you need us to call you later? Like, what are you doing? It's very distracting.
Bro, I'm sorry, my computer's about to die. I'm trying to find an outlet that I can charge it on, and it's not really, like, nothing's really working out here.
I'm trying to focus on our fucking craft, and I'm being stonewalled by this guy.
Just fucking pull up another window or something, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, so let's go into Rides or Dies. So we have a very special Rides or Dies this time around. We all picked, of course, Christmas songs because, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of year. And you know what? If you don't celebrate Christmas, fuck you. I don't say happy holidays. I don't drink at Starbucks in the month of December because I love this country and I love freedom. All right, with that being said...
Let freedom ring, baby. Fuck you.
Let freedom ring. All right, is that Trey's ass? Oh, it's his elbow. Who wants to start? Christian, you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. I actually, so growing up, my dad would always find crazy, obscure, fucking random albums, and he would get pissed off during Christmas time because my mom would always want to listen to like the fucking weakest Christmas shit. So, of course, he finds this album called A Very Special Christmas 3. It's released in 1997. It's a compilation album with a variety of artists ranging from Sting to the Smashing Pumpkins to Dave Matthews Band. But my choice is called Oi to the World by No Doubt.
Trey, what do you think of it?
I gotta say, you know what I always forget about No Doubt, and Gwen Stefani in general? She's got a great voice. She really does.
True.
And I'm not particularly, inclined to enjoy Christmas music, but I gotta say the song rides. Very enjoyable. You know, I love the ska. You know, the ska was cool at one point in time.
It was cool.
And this was that time where it was cool.
Yeah.
And if I listen to one ska song like every 3 years, that's enough ska for me. And so this will be that ska song.
Yeah, shout out to David Fair. He's fucking 30 years old and still listens to ska like he's in 8th grade.
Hey, David Fair's a listener to this podcast. Shout out to David Fair. Happy birthday, David. It was
Happy birthday, Dave.
Happy birthday, Dave. Dude, this guy, David Fair, he's a good friend of ours. He does this incredible performance art comedy where he dresses up as a character when he goes to music festivals and fully commits to the bit. Like he dresses up as an old woman, like a lunch lady, and will like fake squirt ketchup and mustard in people's faces. I've seen him dress up as a guy looking at a map, like just standing confused, like an old explorer, and like will ask people where like Antarctica is and shit. So shout out,
like full rides on the character too.
Yeah, full rides.
It's legit.
Won't break character while you're talking to him. Like, bro, like it's good to see you. Like I don't ever see you, and he's like, where is the next destination?
I will say, if there's one thing bitches love, it's somebody who commits to the bit. So
Straight
shout
up.
out to David for that. That's very good. I also think Oi to the World rides. I will say Gwen Stefani is great. I do always think about that one Ab Soul line where he says, no doubt like Gwen Stefani's group, let me put my mouth where you potty boo.
Potty boo. No doubt like Gwen Stefani's group, let me put my mouth where you potty boo.
Yeah, so every time I hear No Doubt, I think about that line. So, yeah, I'm going to give it a rides as well. Trey, you want to intro your song?
Sure. So my song is Happy Holidays, You Bastard by one fantastic band called Blink-182. This song is very clearly a joke song from a joke band that somehow got very, very popular and has made it into the pantheon of our culture. So what did you guys think of Happy Holiday, You Bastard? I hope you went into it with an open mind and understood that it was a joke.
Christian?
With what you have said, I do recognize and I do understand that it is a joke. I know that, I hope you understand that I love you as a dear friend, but I swear to fucking God, dude, I never listen to Blink-182, just for the record. Sure. And every time I do, the voice makes me want to blow my fucking brains out. I cannot stand Blink-182.
You didn't think the thing about sucking off your dad was funny, or your dad sucking me off was funny?
It was hysterical.
Thank you.
It was hysterical. I will give it that. It dies. I hate Blink-182. I stick to the bit. I will forever hate them.
Christian has done this thing that I really like with every. I don't know if you have noticed this. No, where every time he does a rides or dies, he pauses before he gives the final verdict. Have you noticed that? He says, "I commit to the bit," and then he gives the 2-second. It dies. Like it's like he's a judge on American Idol. It's fucking awesome.
He's basically our fucking Randy. So I do want to read the lyrics, Blake, before you give your assessment here. The lyrics for the first Christmas verse of the song are: "It's Christmas Eve and I've only wrapped 2 fucking presents. Christmas Eve and I've only wrapped 2 fucking presents. And I hate your guts. I hate your guts. And I'll never talk to you again unless your dad will suck me off. I'll never talk to you again unless your mom will touch my cock. I'll never talk to you again. Ejaculate into a sock. I'll never talk to you again. I'll never talk to you again." So God. I think that is inarguably hilarious.
It is really funny. And you know what? I'll give it fucking rides. I like some Blink-182. I can't lie. I like some Blink-182. It's a funny song. It's 40 seconds long. I don't know how you could hate a 40-second song. You know, it's a good, like, I don't know. It worked for what it was.
Appreciate that.
My song was Merry Motherfucking Christmas by Eazy-E. And there's really no need to go into too much detail. It's exactly what you think it is based on the title and the artist. What do you guys think, Trey?
You think I would ever say a song by Eazy-E dies? Fuck that. This shit rides.
Fuck yeah, it does.
This song's awesome. I'd never heard it before. I was stoked. When you sent it, I was stoked. I was like, Eazy-E made a Christmas song? I can't wait to play this in front of my dad and make him so angry that he storms out of the house, goes into a drunken rampage and crashes into a tree. Like, that song is awesome.
It's so good. Christian, what do you think?
I got to get a little serious here because this one, it really brought me back to, I mean, I don't want to bring this word back up again, but I will, oppressive childhood, living in the ghetto of Helena. It was, our family didn't have the means sometimes. And this song, it brought me back. It brought me to tears almost. So it rides.
He's going to cry right now. That's how manipulative he is. He could actually cry if you wanted him to.
I was close.
On demand.
You were?
I was close.
Okay, so that was Rise or Dies. I will link the Christmas tracks down below. And with that being said, wait, hang on.
Wait. Before you intro this, I got to say, guys, y'all tried hard last week, and I respect that. I respect that you tried to do Trey's terrible Twitter takes. It wasn't a great segment on your end. The rest of the episode, perfectly serviceable. You could do it without me if you wanted to, but this is really where you didn't do great.
If we were prepared and brought our own fucking great Twitter takes, it would have been amazing.
Yeah,
we got
true.
them from you secondhand when you deliberately sabotaged us.
Yeah, that is true. I feel like had we been prepped, had we known that you were going to be in jail for your hentai addiction and we had brought our own tweets, we would have really fucking showed up.
Half the time I'm pulling these tweets while we're recording. Like, I mean, that's
unprofessional. That's unprofessional.
Well, yeah, you know.
All right,
also, going back and scrolling through, I had to scroll up to remember what songs y'all sent for Ride or Dies, and it's just that picture of Mia Khalifa.
I knew you were going to say something about that. I was waiting for you. I'm so surprised you didn't say something earlier.
Fucking milkers. Good God.
Okay. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're making our great fucking return to all of our favorite segments.
Welcome to Trey's Terrible Twitter Takes. My name is Trey, and I'll be your host for this evening. Coming back from 1 week off, you know I've got some tweets ready to rock. All right. First off is Trev from @TrevShow. This was from the 6th of December of this year at approximately 2:46 p.m. Trev said, with asterisks, which means it's an action he's physically doing in the real world, shaking my head in the mall. Who would build a bear into this world right now? And I agree with that. Like, who the fuck? Like, how the fuck could you do
how
that?
could you bring a bear into this world in this?
How could you build a bear into this world?
You give it a heartbeat. You have to record it saying that she's sobbing violently, just saying that you're sorry.
And then it ends up at a thrift store, and some parent buys it for their little girl, and they squeeze it, and it's just Christian crying, being like, I don't know how I fucking got here.
All right, Christian, you're going to particularly love this one. This one's from Eric Renner Brown on the 24th of August in 2020, so a couple of years ago. Eric Brown says, every Fish song is like, awesome riff, brie cheese, it's the bee's knees, watch out, I'm going to sneeze, Trey and audience sneeze in unison, 20 minutes of insane jamming, return of awesome riff, Trey and audience sneeze in unison to end the song.
It's so accurate. It's so accurate.
It is, dude. He like something about like his lyrics, man. And at one point when I saw him in Vegas, the second night I was behind the stage, which side note, behind the stage is where it's fucking at.
Oh,
right?
dude,
It's a goddamn party back there.
Uh-huh.
But at one point he went on some like 10-minute rant that I couldn't understand because it was echoing like with the way that he was talking. And he talked for like 10 minutes about like, I don't fucking even know what he was saying. Something about people trying to determine what set list it's going to be in this whole, and me and my friend Sam were like pretty drunk and we're like, what the fuck is he talking about? He's just a weird guy.
Sounds amazing. Sounds like one of the best nights of your life. So, all right, I'm gonna give Christian's gonna get another one that's catered just for him in just a second. Then Blake, you're gonna get one that's catered just for you. But before those two, all right, this one we have it's at Krang T. Nelson, a.k.a. America's Lounge Singer. This is also from December 6th, 2022. He said, experts tell you not to look at screens before bed because it messes up your circadian rhythm. But they're just lying so they can enjoy unfettered high-speed connections at bedtime. They want the night internet all to themselves.
I think that's true, actually. That's a conspiracy I can get behind.
I think it's true as well. All right, Christian, you ready for this? This is just for you. Yeah. This is your Christmas present, is this tweet.
All right.
This one is from at Michael Minert from December 8th, 2022. I want to remind our listeners that this man is at least 45 years old and has had plenty of time to not only make connections in the various cities he's toured at, but also make plenty of money where he can purchase his own items. He said, Cincy tonight, who got weed? This man is still asking for weed on the internet, bro. He's still asking for weed on Twitter.
I fucking hate him so goddamn much.
Is that real?
That's real. It's 1,000% real.
Holy shit. The fall from
I know
grace.
he had a bunch of bad stuff happen and all that like back in the day, but because of these tweets, I think what happened to him initially it's justified. Repercussions. Yeah,
no, it's justified. It's like clearly you were a bad drug dealer. You're still asking for drugs on the internet, and you're 45.
He 100% like sleeps on someone's couch in Arvada.
Yes, absolutely,
for sure.
Blake, don't ever let him sleep on your couch.
All right, I'll keep that in mind. I mean, obviously, due to Christian's absolute hatred of him, I would never let him step foot inside my house.
Right. Okay, so this tweet isn't funny in any way, but it's going to spark some form of funny reaction from Blake. Okay, so this is actually from a friend of mine at Steven Stone, and it was earlier today. And I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the World Cup, but France is in the final, as well as Argentina. If you didn't know, France's biggest star, Mbappe, a.k.a. Is it Kylian Mbappe?
Yeah.
He plays for PSG, which is owned by Qatar. And Lionel Messi, who plays for Argentina, who's the other finalist for the World Cup, also plays for PSG, who is also owned by Qatar. And my friend says, this has to be the ideal outcome from Qatar's point of view, right? Hosting the World Cup where the final features the two biggest stars in the game who both play for PSG, a club owned by Qatar.
Oh, yeah. Real nice coincidence you got going on there. Fucking super surprising how that worked out, huh? Nobody could have seen that fucking coming. And all this shit, you can shove this shit in Trey's face, and he'll look at you straight in the eye, dead-ass serious. No, sports aren't rigged. No way. There's just no chance.
Rigged. Fucking not rigged.
That is I cannot believe he told me that that you read that, because I saw a tweet the other day that said this has to be one of the most rigged World Cups of all time, and I didn't know what they were talking about, and now I fucking know. The writing is on the fucking wall, brother. They're coming for us, okay? They're fucking coming for us.
The fog is coming.
The fog is coming. The fog is coming. You should have died in that fire. You should have died in that fire.
What was that? What was your friend's name? Steven?
Yeah, Steven Stone. He's a really good guy.
Tell Steven, fucking shout out Steven for keeping on the up and up. This guy fucking gets it, dude. This guy fucking gets it.
Oh, man. Okay. You guys want one or two more?
I have one, so you do one more. Mine's quick.
Okay.
Though.
All right. This was from @eclectic_hams, aka Microplastics Enjoyer, which I love. And so he lets us know that there's a conservative spin-off subreddit for methamphetamine users who found the regular meth subreddit too left-wing. That subreddit is called Meth Without Communism.
Shut the fuck up. Is it a
Immediately
or
subscribes.
Is it real?
Immediately subscribes.
It is absolutely a real subreddit that has unfortunately been taken over by people that are parodying it. But like its original intention, if you look through it, is people were like, yeah, no, for real. Like I want to do that, but I don't want to talk about seizing the means of production at all.
That's great. I'm immediately subscribing to that.
That's so good.
It's awesome. It's amazing. All right, that's all I got for Trey's terrible Twitter takes this evening.
So I have one that I sent to Trey earlier, which I really liked, which is the dirtbag left / anti-woke left to fascist pipeline is so fast that it's practically a water slide. And I texted Trey and said, "Am I fascist?" And he said, "No, you're a water slide enthusiast."
I was wondering if you liked that response. I thought it was pretty good.
But I do have to talk about, because we talked about the very first episode we ever did when I read that come down tweet about the girl who said her boyfriend whispered the N-word in her ear before he came to try to elicit a response out of her, and said a huge Bernie supporter of fucking course. There's this weird discourse on the internet where like people think if you're a leftist, but like you make fun of like people's pronouns like once or twice, that you're literally fascist. And I think that's really fucking funny to me because like
everyone that's not them is a Nazi, bro.
Yeah, literally like Bernie himself could make a joke about like something they don't like, and they would be like, "This guy's literally fucking Hitler."
Nothing's funny. Nothing's allowed to be funny.
Nothing is funny.
Mm-mm.
You can't make.
You're not supposed to laugh.
And if you do laugh, you're not part of the leftist movement. I hope you fucking know that.
If you laugh, that means that you're happy in some way, and being happy is fascist.
I've been stripped of my leftist title. I'm no longer the majority whip of the dirtbag left. I am now minority whip of the Nazi party in America. So
anyway, coming up next on Totally Biased Politics. Which that is coming in the new year. Yeah, that is coming in the new year. Totally Biased Politics is definitely coming at you.
Yeah, you guys are going to love it. All right. I think that was it. I think it was a good episode, good discussion. Great tweets, Trey. Wish we would have had those last week. Thanks for coming through. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. You got anything else for us, Trey, Christian?
Nope.
All right.
Hey, look forward next week to what are we gonna do? Best of the year, album of the year. It's right before New Year's. Yeah, let's do the album of the year pod coming next week. And speaking of tomorrow, are we meeting up for dinner tomorrow? What time? So the flights are looking a little sketchy. So I'm supposed to land around 10:30, but then I'll be done working around like 4 p.m. your time. So after that, probably some brewery or food hall or something, so people can come in as they want. Okay, sounds good. All right, thanks for listening, everybody. Fucking like, follow, subscribe, rate, post it on your Instagram. Fucking blow us up. Make it your Instagram status. Use these Instagram statuses. They're awesome. Yeah, make your away status. Go listen to Totally Biased music. All right, thanks, everybody. Thanks, guys. I will see you both tomorrow, and everybody else, I will see you next week. Bye.